Hi, I'm Elaine Harding. Welcome to my blog at startwithelaine.com. This week I've been featuring the Cheerful Daisies bundle. These are floral images which lends itself to making a trellis or a lattice card. It depends on which side of the pond you're on. Oftentimes you'll see one side of the designer's series paper because the other side has been glued to your card base, so it's very rarely that you will see both sides. In today's card you get to see both. So this is the card we're making today, and you see this side of the designer's series paper through the lattice work, and then when you open the card you see the other side. We're using the Fresh as a Daisy 12x12 designer series paper, and you need a sheet that is cut the card front size in your market, 4 1/8 by 5 7/8 in Europe. So basically it's half an A4 sheet, which is 4 1/8 by 11 3/4. In metric that will be 10.5 by 29 centimeters in basic white. With the long side at the top, line the left edge at 3 1/4 inches, and you want to cut that off, whatever your card size in the US, you still also cut off 3 1/4 inches. For metric, you cut off 9.5 centimeters. And then this is the width of your cardstock. So that's the width, okay? So you want the short side at the top, and you want to cut those 5 pieces at 1/2 inch. And in metric that will be 1.5 centimeters. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now to make the struts that hold the card together, the trellis together, they will be narrower than these strips here. So just do it by eye, and you can see where the cutting groove is, okay? So if that's roughly halfway between this strip here, then that's your halfway mark. So then cut toward the stopper here to prevent the paper from moving, and these 2 narrower strips are your struts to hold the trellis together. So set that aside, and in metric that will be 1.5, so 5 pieces at 1.5, and then these 2 will be at 1 centimeters. Now in order to hold that down, you want to put a piece of washi tape in the middle there, okay? And I'm going to bend this back like so. And then put some weight on the top. I need a heavier block. And I'm going to now start building my lattice. What I'm going to do is to run a bone folder over the cut pieces, because you can see there are ridges there. Now I'm going to butt up the strips to the bottom, flush with the bottom of the cardstock. That's the bottom piece. Now I want the top piece, so I'll do the same there. Leave a gap and ensure that the 2 sides are flush with the left and right edges of your card. Then next you want to do the middle one and eyeball it so that you know it's roughly in the right place, and then put these 2 in between, equidistant between the 2. Okay, now bring in your narrow strips, and you want it in, say, about ½ an inch in from the edge. Okay, so this is where you want to put the glue. So draw a thin line of glue along here. And then put a bit of glue on the tip here, and then glue it down. And do the same for this side. So roughly you want it about there. So you want to put the glue in the middle. Glue on the tip. Make sure that's bonded properly. Then lift this up and gently remove these pieces. Put your index finger and thumb on the glued bit to anchor it so that the washi tape doesn't pull it up. So that's how easy it is to assemble the lattice. Oh, forgot to record it. So you want one in the middle as well. Carry on up. Now I've removed most of the backing tape. There's just these 3 last ones to do. Pop this piece. This is the bit that I want to show, right? And then I'm going to close that over like so. And if you have any uneven bits, then trim it off. The other matte layer you need for inside of the card is in Pretty Peacock. This piece is an 1/8 of an inch smaller than the card base when it's folded. So let's put that on. And the basic white is an 1/8 of an inch smaller. So the other bits of cardstock you need is Pretty Peacock and Lemon Lolly. And the Lemon Lolly is for the back of the flower where the little holes are, and then this one you need to cut the big die from the Cheerful Daisies die set. It's this die that we want. I also need a scrap of basic white to stamp the stems and some leaves, extra leaves, and also for the label. The inks I'm using are Copper Clay, Pretty Peacock and Versamark. The Embossing Editions Toolkit, the basic embossing powders, and I'm using the white one. And last but not least, the Fresh as a Daisy sweet, what do they call these? Adhesive back solid gems. So we're going to be using both the Copper Clay and the Lemon Lolly ones. So first I'm going to die cut this off camera and I'll be back. So the best way to cover up those holes is to glue around the outside of the petals, and then from this side you cut away the bits that you don't want to show. And be careful you don't cut the petals at the same time. Okay, so do the same with this one. I've got a silicone mat underneath to catch any stray bits of glue so it doesn't stick to the work surface. And this is why we keep our scraps. Just angle your scissors and cut round the flower. Whoops, that's moved. Pop it back. And cut away this bit that you don't need. And voila. So I've prepped that. Now I need to do my sentiment. So ink that up in copper clay. Stamp it. I think I better cut my sentiment off first. And set that aside. Then I can do my stem. Next I want to stamp my leaf. Cut the flower centre in copper clay and stamp that. Bring in the pretty peacock cardstock and I'm going to white emboss on this. Ink it up. Sprinkle it with white embossing powder. So just to recap, it's best to add the flower centre for the daisy after you've die cut it. Don't think I've got a die for this one, so I'm going to fussy cut that. Platform 1, thin die adapter platform 2, one of the base plates platform 3, your cardstock followed by the die cutting edge face down, and cut the stem. I definitely need washi tape for this because I know for sure that die is going to move. And then your second cutting plate, I think I'm safe with this one. Do that and then you're ready to run it through the machine. So let's curl the leaves. I'm going to separate these, but leave this one intact. So then I'm going to curl the leaves just slightly. I've put dimensionals on the back and this wasn't long enough, so I've had to stamp and die cut to extend it. I'm going to pop a dimensional on here and position this so that the petal will cover up the join of the stem. I think this might be too long, so I'll cut that off and pop a dimensional on the back of this as well. I'm going to do it slightly differently on this one because it's just the way the stem is. I'm going to put glue on this bit here and pop that on top and glue it to the inside of the card. Mini dimensionals on these leaves here. And then last finishing touch. And lastly, I'll put dimensionals on the back, and I'll just pop my sentiment up here. Voila! There's the trellis card completed, and that's the inside. So I hope you've enjoyed today's tutorial and have a go yourself. It's not hard and it's quite effective, and I like the idea that you can see both sides of the designer series paper. Anyway, thanks for watching. All the supplies as usual are below this video in the show more section. You can also find me on Facebook, Pinterest or Instagram. And if you like what you saw today, then do give me a thumbs up. I'd really appreciate it. And if you can share, even better. Thanks for watching. Bye.